Welcome back to the True North podcast. My name is James McKenzie. This week we have our friend Sean McGuire on. So much fun with Sean on this week's podcast. He talks about a lot of really interesting topics. And as you guys know, he's full of wisdom. He's an incredible counselor, incredible friend. So we look forward to that. But before we go to that, I wanted to share with you guys our newest event. It's called the True North Experience. This is actually a lunch and learn event that we're doing that people can RSVP to for free. So the type of people we want to come to this are people that have never heard of True North before, maybe have heard a little bit, but don't really know what we're all about. During this hour, we're going to share what we're all about, what our mission is, our vision, how bringing wholehearted men back from our retreats is impacting society. And people are going to come, have good food, and hear incredible testimonies from what all is happening at True North. And so if you're interested in coming to that, or if you know people that need to come to that, because we are asking you to invite more people into it, just check it out on the True North website. It's listed as the True North Experience. We have each one listed, so you can check out all the dates that we have for that, and you can just RSVP and bring a friend. We look forward to seeing you there. So now let's get kicked over to the True North podcast. Sean McGuire, how are you doing?
Man, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be with some brothers that love the Lord and be able to communicate some truths that I think will be impactful for the people that are listening, hopefully for the families that they're a part of and their work environments. And really it's just an invitation to really what my experience has been and then the experiences I've seen walking with other men. And then the invitation to deal with a lot of things. You gave me a lot of really great questions. I felt like out of the 12, I felt like it could have been a book, or maybe each one could have been a book.
Yeah.
And so what I've decided to do is, if you're okay, is just jump right into the first one.
Yeah.
Because you said becoming a king, living like Jesus. Like, what does it look like to become a king? What does it look like?
Yeah.
And I'd say so many people look at the mountaintop and they want to jump on and they want to get there. Mm-hmm. And I too, like I want the gospel where I'm always blessed, where I am everything God says I am. And I get everything the Bible says on earth.
Yeah. Like
the righteous don't beg for bread.
Yeah.
Everybody that serves God is blessed. No harm ever comes to them. Yeah. But the reality is that's not the biblical narrative.
Mm-hmm. But and that's what the world is screaming at you to do, is to have all those things as well. Like it's
that's the American dream.
Right.
And so it's that constant fighting of the American dream to be the guy, to be the king on the top of the mountain, ruling over everything. And then the lies of when you get there, it's so much easier. Like everybody's just serving you and you're good and you can just do your mission, what you're just so passionate and great at all the time.
Yeah.
And I would say that my experience in over 30 years of counseling, business coach and speaking, that's not accurate at all. Mm-hmm. The accurate is, man, did you start out as a cowboy? Did you start out as a kid wondering this adventure? Did you make a lot of mistakes? Did you move into the warrior phase where you had a purpose and you wanted to fight for it and you made tons of mistakes? And you learned tenacity, you learned grit, you learned to fight for things that were hard and painful and agonizing and not quick. And then did you go to the lover phase, which there's a lot of guys that I know and I see, man, they have a lot of adventure. They go out with buddies. They do great trips. Mm-hmm. They have that warrior phase where they're going for it at work. Mm-hmm. And they're so successful and they've got work on lockdown because they know how to win. Yeah. If I do these things, if I show up and I market this way and then I lead this way, well, then this happens. Yeah. And a lot of guys are winning at work. But then the last one is the king. Yeah. And that really the stage is after the king. But I'll speak to my phase of life is I always thought the king phase was when you were out of the battles. Mm-hmm. When it wasn't so bloody, when it wasn't so hard, when it wasn't so heavy. And so I was like, man, I can't wait to get to that king phase because you're still kind of in the action, but you're not on the front line. You're like in the forward operating base, making plans, strategizing, sending the warriors out. But the reality is, I think there's no such thing as retirement in the Bible that I've read. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think retirement for me is doing more of what God called me to do without needing to get paid for it, whatever that looks like. I don't know. Maybe it's coaching kids in soccer. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's mentoring. Maybe it's on a missions trip. Maybe it's doing what I'm doing for free. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I think the king phase is so much different than what I thought it was. Early on, I remember looking at people that were really successful and like, man, if I could just be them and work all day on my craft and be great and not worry about budgeting money, not worry about diapers and, body training, it's staying up all night, then not having enough money for a proper babysitter. So you got to get your 3-eyed sister, wife's sister to come over and watch the kid. And then she yells at you. That's just my story.
Yeah.
And that's just hard, man. Early families, right? In those different phases. But now in the season of life, after, everything that's happened to me with our house exploding, our bodies being different, having and still walking through so much incredible trauma, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started leading, which I never wanted to lead, my mom was a leader, and I said, I don't have any desire. I'll be great at following somebody that's great at leading.
Mm-hmm.
Would love to. I'll fit my spot. I don't need to be out there. But here I am leading a practice, leading people, making my best effort to change lives and seek God on how to do that best. And it's much heavier, much harder. Mm. For example, I thought when you get to a certain place, you have administrative staff that takes the burden off. You have this. But when you live on purpose, see, David, when he saw Bathsheba, he was just chilling out, wasn't out of battle, wasn't in the proper place. And he was just chilling. We'll call that video games. We'll call that Netflix. We'll call that not going to church, not being in fellowship with other people, for guys, dudes, for women, ladies. And you get in a dangerous place if you stop living out of purpose.
Yeah.
And listen, purpose always requires a cost. Yeah. There's always a price to pay to live out of your purpose. Mm-hmm. And I just had the American dream in a lot of ways mixed with Christianity, that I thought I'd get to a place where life would just get easier. But I think when we first walked in, you said, "How are you doing?" And I said, "Let's just find out during the podcast." I said, because I have a lot to share. I said, maybe this is just my life story. Everybody has a different journey to walk. I read the journey of Paul. His life was hard. Yeah. Incredibly hard. Yeah. But incredibly purposeful to thousands of years later. We're living out of the words that were inspired, that he wrote down in the trials of prison, the trials of being a day and night at sea. And so I would want to take a step back and let's look at what a king really is. When I first started leading, I remember one of the guys that worked for me was, his name was Caleb, a super good Christian dude, loves the Lord. And he was the first person in my space that close. Poor guy. He was front seat to me learning that I need to not share stuff with him. I need to not share it the way it comes out. I need to not ask him to do things that I'm willing to do that most normal, sane people, they don't want to get up at 4 and work till midnight. That's just not normal. Mm-hmm. And I did a lot of those things because I wanted it to succeed and because I had a purpose that was driving me. But I didn't have the ability to understand how I needed to relate, how I needed to lead people around me. And so I made a lot of mistakes early on, having unrealistic expectations, not listening to what they needed, but just letting the mission drive the train instead of the people on it. Feedback. Seeking God, listening, and learning that, man, there's lots of different ways to lead. And one of the best is to make sure you know the people that you're leading and you lead them to a place that everyone can succeed and win, or those that God's calling to come with you. Mm-hmm. And so what does that look like? Well, let's fast forward from then of being super frustrated most of the time, doing a lot of things outside of my wheelhouse. I think we were renovating our practice location to make more offices because I bought the building. I had 2 rent houses that I was renovating. Terrible idea. I hate it. Literally, if you've ever renovated anything, you know it's a race to the bottom and there's a lot of competition to get there. They don't do what they say. They show up late or they want money before they finish and they cut things they shouldn't cut and then they don't put in things. It's always really frustrating. Yeah. While starting and leading a practice.
How old were you in this season?
40, maybe 40-ish. Yeah, 40-ish. Maybe late 30s, 40. And I thought I was further along than I was. Turns out I wasn't. Yeah. And True North was a big part of my story for about a decade. Like God fathered myself and about 20-ish, thousands of guys now, right? Like thousands and thousands. But about 20-ish guys that I did life with closely, figuring this out. And he fathered us. And part of that season was a lot of humbling. I thought I was so much further along than I was. I didn't understand leadership. Yeah, I cognitively understood it was serving others, right? Yeah. But practically, I'm like, bro, I have a lot of experience, and you're just coming on the boat. Like, why would I let you direct where we're going? Mm-hmm. That was where I started. Where I'm at now is you may have been to places I've never seen. Yeah. What do you think about where we're going? Now, I don't have to listen. I'm not bound to listen.
Right.
But I think there's a value of inviting people, the right people, to share and be a part of the process because they're all on the boat together. And so flip that mentality of where I started of just thinking we're all going to do this together. I just let all the information out. I thought the people I started with were the people I was going to finish with. And there's only one guy from when I started that's still there. Ben Thompson. And he's got a sweetheart deal. He'll be there forever.
Yeah.
And he's grown and he's like, I've seen this guy from not even looking at me. Now he's taking improv classes. He's just flying. He wrote a book. Yeah. And that's part of our culture of just continuous growth. Yeah. But one of the things that I've learned is to true leadership is not just leading pragmatically, having strategies, having clients come in, serving them. It's how are you loving? And it's like the F word in a lot of businesses, and especially not the Christian, but the counseling world. If you say love, you're a pervert. They're going to sue you. But really, God calls us to love the people that we serve. And for me, obviously that starts with my relationship with Him, my family, and people may have this different, but for me, it's loving the people that work for me, with me, alongside me, fighting the good fight for the people that we contend for, the people that we try to bring out of tough situations, people we try to usher into legacies of Christ, of healing, of love, unlocking them of where they've been stuck and suffering, and bringing tools, bringing the value and the care that we have for them, walking with them, that they're not alone. But if I don't start back here with how do I best serve my people? How do I love them? How do I care for them? Well, then they're not going to show up, and we're not going to have a culture that grows. I think Taylor, the guy that's running all the things behind the scenes that makes this magic happen, he said his wife came, and she didn't name drop, which she should have, about you guys, and said it was an amazing culture. She said, I cannot believe this kind of a culture exists because of where I'm at and what I'm going through and what I'm seeing. And that's really the special sauce, but it doesn't just happen. We have a culture where a lot of them refer to it as a family. Yeah. Because we care so deeply. We had somebody that went through a health crisis and had to move, and our team partnered together and paid for part of her hospital bill. Like we all partnered together.
How large of a practice is it now?
What's that?
How many?
We have about 23-ish people.
Okay.
We've had a lot of really tough things happen to people in our practice in the last few months, like really just crazy stuff. Yeah. So I know we're under attack because the work that we're doing is impacting so many lives. I feel like this is a season where the devil's attacking us. So this is part of what I'm sharing as a king. And again, when I say king, I don't mean the guy with the robe and the scepter.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean the guy that's changing the toilet paper. And like somebody said something, I was like, they said, well, I think that's kind of beneath me, somebody that was interning. And I said, tell them that you'll see Sean changing toilet paper. You'll see him change the trash. You'll see him vacuum, like any job, because it's our place. Yeah. And this is what we do, right? Yeah. And so it's a different image than that. It's more like the servant sacrificing in the battle, fighting for your people, kind of a king. Yeah. And it's not because the status is like means it just means you've accepted a calling. I never wanted to be in this position. Like legitimately, I honestly never wanted to be in leadership. I wanted just to serve where I was at and be a good warrior. Yeah. But it wasn't, this space wasn't here, and there wasn't anybody doing it. And God called me again and again, and I said no lots of times. Not Nehemiah, not Jonah level. Like I didn't get swallowed by a whale or anything. But He put enough people in my space to be like, come on, dude. And so the part of the weight of the king is when you love the people that work for you, and things happen to them, it's really heavy. I just got back from a great men's event. Not True North, but a lot of the guys were True North, and those that weren't, I, of course, strongly encourage them to get in the right path that God can move their life. And I came back and I got a phone call. I got a phone call from one of my people's, one of my therapists, Michael's wife, and she said, Sean, I won't believe this. Michael passed in the middle of the night from a cardiac event. I mean, this guy came out of retirement to work for us. Like came out of retirement, interviewed, it's a different place. He was a different dude. He's super quiet, but he brings, outside of me, he brings the most challenge of anybody in our practice currently. And he got the hardest cases would want to see him. He talked about his wife. He's like, man, and you would never guess this. He talked about making up songs with her and funny songs, them laughing, and she's about to retire, and they've worked their whole life, just paid off their house, did all these things. And this guy has been married like, I think 4 decades, maybe more. Wow. Loved his kids, served his wife. I've seen him grow in the time. I mean, at first, he's one of those people that you can't read his face, and I'm really big about reading people really fast and getting to know where I stand with you. And it just took me a longer time. But man, when he spoke, it was like pearls of wisdom just raining down. And so, and he's, you know, he's an older guy. And so in our practice with me, and then there's younger people and older, and he was just really well respected. And so when I tearfully was talking to his wife, and we prayed, and I sent a video to the team, and they were shocked. Love, what can we do? How do we be there for his wife? And only a few people, you know, at our meetings, we met her a few times, and our kids, and he'd bring his kids, adult kids, to our team gatherings because he was such a connected guy.
Yeah.
But the weight of that on my heart, because the way that I love and I feel called to care, is they're not just people that I hire and I coach up to do a great job. They're part of our family. They're part of a team that changes the world, that we fight arm to arm to help people come out of darkness and be set free. And you know, this month has been really hard. I had another lady that was coming on, amazing lady. She come up to me. She retired too. This happened a lot, but she heard about us and wanted to work she didn't need the money, but she wanted to work for a place that was changing lives. And she's like, look, I just want to be a part. And she said, Sean, I don't know that I'm up to the standard of like where you guys are at. And I said, if you're available and you're humble, you can get there. And so she got progressively excited, was about to onboard up in this admin office. She's going to be full time. I think she has a lot to offer as she was coming in. And she got a diagnosis that she had to stop everything. A critical diagnosis that we're praying for a miracle in her life. I could go on and on the last month of somebody else's dad has cancer and is not doing well, and they're going to have to move and be with somebody else is working remote because 2 people, because our cancer, one was a health thing. I mean, we've been under a massive attack. And so as a king, I'm just sharing, people have this image of a king and what it looks. I'm just telling you, I pray, I love, I have to break soul ties because I care so deeply. I have to make sure I don't cross the line, and it's too much. But brother, you don't ever get to a place in leadership where it's easy.
Yeah.
And you don't ever get to a place where people aren't coming to you and like you said, how's your day? And I was like 6 minutes late because I was on the thing. My accountant forgot to add all these things. And we switched accountant. Our accountant took a new job. And so in the middle of tax season, we got new. We're switching payroll to a different company. Like we have all these moving parts. And when you ask me, I said, maybe life is just like this for the McGuires. And maybe I just need to embrace it. Because I've also had a health thing come up in the middle of all this. I did something for my health that was with the doctor and it was supposed to be helping me. And it actually did the reverse and made me sick, made me have no energy, made my voice in and out. Took my testosterone to where it's crazy low. Like I lost about 60% of my muscle mass and strength. And there's and I'm believing there's protocols to get it back, but that's faith. And that's while all these people that I love dearly are hurting and need me to show up. That's while we open a new practice and I need to be there, a new location more and market and build these relationships. That's opportunities to do that. Like, some of my accountability said, you need to say no to this podcast. And I said no to a lot of other things. I was like, no, this is the one thing I'm going to say yes to. And I think being a king doesn't look like anybody else's template. Yeah. It doesn't look like your wife is great. Like my wife is a fighter, bro, but she is so tired with the thing that she struggles with now since our explosion where she's just tired so much. But you know what? In the midst of all this, we're going to have a baby in September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
we didn't choose our story. I didn't choose for people to get sick. They didn't choose that. For that amazing lady's husband to die in the middle of the night. Nobody chose that story. But the choice is, as long, in my philosophy, as long as I'm alive, I'm going to live.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to do living, it depends on where I'm at, who my people are around. I can't say enough about the people in your castle, about who you choose to bring, who you choose to listen to. Because different counsel, some of my outside circumference are like, bro, say no to this, do that, back off. And there's wisdom in a lot of it, but they don't have the same heart and purpose of like, in my faith, you're called to press through hard things because you're not just dealing with numbers and activities. You're dealing with people's eternal life, including yours, your kids, the people that you serve, legacies of families.
Yeah.
Like it matters. I matter too. My family matters too. Yeah. And so all those things need to be considered. But a king's always thinking about others.
Yeah.
And as somebody I'm a dude, right? So I struggle with selfishness just like anybody, maybe more. But I just want to pull the veil back because I hear a lot of young guns want to get to that king phase. Yeah. And I'd say go to the base camp's awesome. Base camp, I just love base camp.
Yeah.
It's people that see me know it's like a mandatory thing if you're a dude, if you're a man, if you work for me, like because I love so much and I know how much you can help. But the summit pulls back a lot of what a king is, what a king's not, and maybe reconsider. You've been living out of the world's template of what it looks like to be a king, like LeBron James, the king, versus what does it look like to be like Jesus as a king?
Yeah.
And I'm coming from a complete lateral, humble, so far from where I feel like God's calling me to be. Yeah. I just get up one more time, then I get knocked down.
So my question, you're coming to the realization now that you're in this king phase, and maybe it's time to just accept and embrace the seasons that you're in, right? And I think that's kind of the overall heart of sharing this with men that you haven't even entered into that king phase yet as well. It's like if you're in the cowboy warrior phase, which cowboys usually more teenager, warriors more your 20s, 30s. If you're in those phases, how advantageous would it be to embrace that you're in that phase and quit looking to get to this point where life will all of a sudden be easier? Because how much of your formation happened in the cowboy and warrior phase? What happened in those phases for you that contributed to, first of all, being trusted with a kingdom that could withstand this much warfare that you're in right now? Because you're a good king, and
a lot of effort.
you've been put through the fire to get there. And speak on that.
Yeah, those are really amazing questions. I'd say to one, be where your feet are.
Yeah.
Don't look to other people. Don't compare. Like I look at both of you and I can be like, man, they have amazing knees because I have a torn ACL right now, got a fake knee. And like, like.
I hope that's the first thing you think about.
Yeah, that's right. Like, man, he's got nice knees. But it's not fair for me to compare me trying to exercise with you guys because I don't have the ability that you have currently. I will in heaven and I did before, but I don't currently. So I said, be where you're at with what you have. And these social media influencers, they promise, man, if you do this, you get a Lamborghini, you do that. Like, and I have the privilege of being on the backstory of so many people. Some people highly successful, some people not as much, some people trying to get there. And I would say the backstory of people's lives is very different than the front story for most people. Pastors, leaders. Like I've worked with some people that are extraordinarily rich. And I used to think I wanted to be that rich, but they paid such a high price. Not everybody, but such a high price with time, not being at family events, and a cost early on when their kids were little. I'm good to be debt free and not have a lot and not live large, but live wise. And everybody's different. So don't compare yourself to what other people are called to do. Like I shouldn't compare myself physically to you. Like that's not my jam. Like I'm not there. And if I do, I'll feel less than you. And I'll get mad and I'll be jealous and I'll have negative things. And the consequence to me, it'll be bad. Our relationship will suffer. So be where you're at. If you're in the warrior phase and you're younger, man, take adventures. Yeah. My son just left for camp today. He's 16 and a half, just a stud, play any sport. His name means mighty warrior for God, which means he doesn't back down from us when we ask him to do things.
Works
And
both
he's been a
ways.
real challenge in some areas, but he's
Yeah.
got a great heart.
Yeah.
Loves the Lord. There's a lot of great things about him. But I said, bro, listen, you were created for adventure. I said, I want to hear you pushing the limit. Now, don't push the limit of being unwise and sinning at all. That's not what I mean. But push the limit. If somebody says, do this, and you're like, oh, I'm super nervous, raise your hand. Be in this skit, raise your hand. Do something, I'll volunteer, help out. Go, man, take risks. So many risks. You are young. Don't let people say, oh, you got to sleep in. You take the risks that are smart, that you're going to fail at. But man, you'll learn. Yeah, you were really bad at speaking in front of everybody. But man, now you push that back and you've done it. Now you'll do better next time.
Mm.
And so take a lot of risks, learn so many lessons, try new things, meet new people. Don't let yourself be living in like we can be so fear-based and everybody else can look so great. I'm just telling you, social media has given us a false impression of where people really are.
Yeah.
I remember this is before social media was a big. My wife, and she's, God bless her soul, she never met anybody like me.
I hadn't either.
Yeah, no one has.
No one has.
Yeah.
And so she didn't know what to do with me. And so she would say, why don't you be chill like so-and-so? Or why aren't you more passive like, and I was like, oh, you mean so-and-so? Yeah, he's addicted to pornography. I didn't say that, right? But in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, he's cheating on his wife. Yeah, he's playing video games till the wee hours.
Yeah.
And not fight. And I'm fighting for my family. I'm making a lot of mistakes because I run really hot and engaged. I'm wanting things to happen, and I'm not passive. But a lot of guys are passive, and so she's confused early on passivity with the godliness, and it's easy to do because people are quiet, and the Bible says, "Be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry." But now, 20 years later, she sees the fruit of these people's marriages and these kids, and it's not good.
Yeah,
like they may not have had a lot of conflict, but you know what? We wouldn't have conflict either if we would just be slaves. And we would let people dominate us. Yeah. And so I didn't perfectly fight, but I fought for the good things. And those are the seasons of the cowboy, of figuring out what you like, what you're passionate about. Take as many risks. Go with things you may or may not like to do. In the warrior phase, you're going to lose a lot of battles. And the devil's going to try to define you by your losses. And God's always inviting you to define you by what he did, not what you've lost. And the more you can not try to find out who you are, but read in the Bible of who God says you are. Read books by elders. Talk to people that are wise and make sure everything is congruent with what the word says. Yeah. Then you're going to know you have a template of working toward becoming somebody. Now, it's going to be your unique fingerprint. Like you guys, we haven't never met another Sean McGuire either. Me neither. Yeah. But that's part of finding out if you have a grid and a movement towards, I'm a guy. I know I pee standing up. No offense if you guys pee standing down. Sit down.
Standing down.
Sitting down. But I know I'm called to fight for my family. I know I'm called to be in the front and take the first bullet. Yeah. I know that I'm called to sacrifice and not sacrifice you, but my comfort. And these are things I know because that's who God created me as a masculine dude. And if I'm not sure of that, then a lot's off the table. Yeah. But then the nuance is, who are you created to be? I thought I was supposed to be, so in our little home church, the most holy man I've ever met was a quiet Chinese, about 5'2" man. When I met him, I had a vision of this big, massive, muscular, but he was so quiet. I mean, the guy was just a walking holy man. And I feel like that was the template of what I was supposed to be. Wasn't until Eldridge's first book when I was 23 years, whatever it first came out. And I listened to him. He said some profane words, talked about wanting to punch somebody. I'm like, that's my dude. I'm not a bad Christian because I have a desire to fight for my family. Yeah. I was mad at people because they didn't stand up for my wife. I got in a fight with a security guard because he was coming on this girl in college. And you know what I mean? Because I felt this thing of defend and protect. And some of what I was raised in, and it wasn't like they told me that, right? Yeah. I just thought I needed to be quiet. Yeah. And that wasn't me.
Do you have some examples? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So I think you're talking about social media but just society in and of itself often is telling us well, if it's And maybe like your outside counsel, like you have your trusted brothers you're talking about, and kind of outside counsel is wise and like, you know what, you should probably take some things off your plate because this is too hard.
Right.
Right. But just because it's hard doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong.
That's right.
Right. And a lot of that is because you're rooted in your identity. But speak to that a little bit as far as like knowing where you're going and where God is calling you to be. And just because, you're getting knocked off your horse every now and then doesn't mean that you're not on the right path.
That's right. So I've been counseling 30 years and New Vision's 21 years old this year. What up?
Congratulations.
And yeah, it's a big feat. I said no when I felt God calling me to expand New Vision. And it was because of a lot of things, like somebody I knew got totally harassed and shamed at a certain college I won't name. It was Christian because he said he was going to be a Christian counselor.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just heard all these bad stories. And I didn't want to do it because I knew it was going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, counseling's hard enough. Like I got enough hard in my life. I got physical stuff. I've got, True North was growing. There's a lot of different things. And I had enough hard, but that purpose and that passion that God would not release it.
Yeah.
And now we're 20 years and I've had massive betrayals. Like things that I said, if anybody ever did this, I would lawyer up and I would wipe the earth clean of people like this.
Yeah.
Because they don't need to be practicing.
Mm-hmm.
And God called me to forgive
Mm-hmm.
and build.
Yeah.
When naturally I would have, because I had every right
Mm-hmm.
for the things that they did. And, here's the thing. Jesus had Judas in the 12.
Mm-hmm.
None of the disciples knew, as far as we can tell.
Yeah.
And so there will be people get in your group
Mm-hmm.
that are nefarious, that are sheep and wolves, they're wolves in sheep's clothing,
Mm-hmm.
and will break down. And that's hard. And the devil will try to use that to take you off your purpose. This is why purpose beats just passion, beats motivation, beats inspiration.
Yeah.
Because my purpose to heal and change lives is true no matter what season I'm in.
Yeah.
It just looks different based on my capacity and where I'm at. Something else I want to key in. I didn't take nearly enough risks because I was chasing girls when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really didn't. I said no to a lot of adventures. I said no to a lot of things that I could have failed at. I said no to trips. I said no to clubs. I said no to speaking, for sure speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I was so scared. I said no to, I just said so many no's because there was a part of me I was so afraid to look stupid, to not be good at something, to not. And I was so focused on chasing girls because I thought inside of a woman, if somebody saw me with a pretty girl, then that would make me valuable.
Yeah.
You would want to hang out with me because I got a good looking girlfriend. That would tell me you are worth it. So the things you didn't hear from your dad, the thing, and your mom, the things you didn't hear younger, you will spend the rest of your life living out of them until you break the agreements that are lies. Like I agreed to never let somebody sneak up on me. So I have a startle response that is better. But if you come up to me like this, I would probably take a swing on you because part of my childhood was very scary and I needed to be safe. So I said, I'm not going to get caught off guard again. And we make agreements. I'm never going to be hurt again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to this. I had a thing. Somebody forgot my name and I felt so bad. I said, I'm going to forget people's names because I'm never going to be the one to make all that effort and then feel so dumb that you don't care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I still have trouble remembering names. I want to so bad, but I'm still breaking out of things that I did really early. And so realizing that your phase of the cowboy is a lot of mistakes, a lot of fun, a lot of wonder, a lot of curiosity. And those two things, wonder and curiosity, which have been misused, I think, a lot in our culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we're called to live as a child through, in certain ways, through the cowboy, wonder and curiosity, through the warrior, wonder and curiosity, through the lover, wonder and curiosity. Never get tired and let yourself be passive and getting to know the wife you're married to in this season of life. I promise you, my wife is not the 20-something-year-old girl I married at 23.
No.
She's not.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thank God. I wish I was physically better, but back then I'm way different than that guy back then. Being married has helped me, and having friends, be more socially aware of how to talk to people, how my words affect. And so I think keep the childhood wonder and curiosity and always being excited for new things and trying new things because you change too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the first two phases, you can make a compelling case. You're figuring a lot out. And if you don't try new things, and I don't mean video games, here's something else. Video games has taken, and Netflix, and I just use Netflix as all the binge watching. And here's the deal. There's a lot of things that are really entertaining, like super entertaining. That's not a joke. Like there really is things to watch that are great. Yeah. There really are games. If you like to play games, super engaging. So that's not bad. As long as they're serving you and you're not serving them. I've seen a lot of warriors and cowboys get taken out because their adventures are on a screen instead of in the woods.
Can you talk about, in your warrior phase, you said you had losses. Do you have any stories of what those losses might be?
So in my warrior phase, I didn't know it, but looking back, I was really fierce. I had a big sword, and I really felt like I was following God. And in a lot of ways I was. I think a scalpel is indicated a lot more often than a sword. But I could say, like my wife's dad, this is about me, so I could share it. There's decisions that he made that I would not have made. And I'll just say I fought for my family. I fight for my family. And early on, I fought for my family in a lot more of a brawler kind of way than I did in an honoring way, which I do today in a very different way. But I fought for them because I was raised by a single mom. Felt like a bastard, didn't know what a bastard was. But looking back, that's what the feeling was. I never fit in anywhere. Tried to prove myself. Always felt like the outside of situations. And my wife really never got, like, she wasn't fought for. Her dad had her own things. Her mom made a lot of decisions. And we have a very different, better relationship than we've ever had right now with her family. Her mom and her dad. You know what I mean? Yeah. They come over. It's great. But I totally sent him texts. Like, I remember one time I sent him a text, like, basically, it was veiled text. You know, if they took it to court, I wouldn't get in trouble. But like, bro, you messed up your family. Don't mess up mine. Or the consequences for both of us will be severe and irreparable. Because I was like, if I lose my marriage, it's gonna be unfavorable for all of us. Because that's where I was. Yeah. Because like my whole life I wanted to get married and have a family, and God gave me this. Why would you say anything to why would you take shots at it? Why would you? And it wasn't just her. Like, people that are hurt people. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? And we have a great relationship now, as you know what I mean, with her dad and her mom and people in her family. But so much of her family early on was setting boundaries and fighting. And then Tanda, when we got married, I thought, why would you not want to change? And so if I see a chance to change you or me and I love you, I'm going to go for it. And again, sword versus scalpel. I'm a lot more moving to the scalpel if invited than the big sword, which I just had on my back at all time. It was more like Wolverine. Yeah. You know, than the professor, where he's going to take his time and try to do the long-term smart thing. Yeah. And the warrior is just quick to fight. Yeah. And now even through this process, my wife's like, why didn't you challenge that guy? And my son's like, why didn't you say something? And I was like, play that scenario out. What good outcome is there? Yeah. Because my son's seen me apologize. Everybody has. If you're around me at all, if I mess up, I can't apologize fast enough to clear the ledger. Life's hard enough without baggage. Yeah. That's my fault, right? And so I just needed to ask for forgiveness. But he saw a lot of things that, you know. I remember one time we were in a restaurant. We were the only people in the restaurant, and they took 30 minutes. I was like, hey, man, I said, I've asked you a few times. In 5 minutes, we have to go. He's like, I said, we've been here for this much time. I've asked you. There's nobody here. I'm not sure what's going on. He's like, well, we'll put it in the to-go box. I said, I'm sorry, you misunderstand me. If I don't have it like here ready to go, I'm leaving. I don't want a to-go box. And he's just a jerk. And so we got an exchange of words. I didn't cuss or anything. But I was unkind. He said something. I said, how about you do your job and the situation never happens and everybody's happy? So if you do that, then we'll be great. And my son's like, Dad, you know, that's not a really good way to talk to people, is it? I said, you know what? You're right. So the guy came back and I said, hey, man, I'm a Christian and I'm sorry for the way I approached that. Will you forgive me? He's like, oh, yeah, we totally messed up in this. I said, well, I appreciate that, man. I'm sorry. And I left him a bigger tip. My son's like, it's actually a really good business strategy to be mean to Christians. Because you left him like a way bigger tip than you would have, and you know. Yeah. And so I think the warrior is prone to do what's natural for them, whether it's run away, in that phase, whether it's be passive and check out in video games, which is a generation, which again, I don't have problems with video games or social media, as long as it's serving you and your purposes and your family and those you love.
Yeah.
I'm all in. Play them, have a great time, watch it, do it. There's great videos out there.
What is the difference between, what's the line for someone that maybe is towing that line and doesn't have the awareness? When is it all of a sudden you serving it?
I think when the cost, when it takes you outside of your zone of fidelity with Christ, when you start hurting people, when you're prioritizing the game time, the social media, when you're feeling yourself getting depressed or anxious. So when somebody comes in with anxiety or depression, I'm really curious about all their social media and all their technology and what they're looking at, what they're feeding, because it creates so much angst inside of us.
Yeah.
Or it can create hope and inspiration depending on what you're looking at, right?
Yeah.
I totally recommend people that have playlists and things like that. And the other thing is having people in your, I cannot say enough about this. I'm the kind of person that, and I feel like all of us do, but I feel like some of us need it more. I always need somebody that's my balance in my life. Like I have the guy I'm meeting with now, I call him St. Richard Milligan. He's my guy in this. And I've had tons of people throughout the years and we're still friends, but they're seasonal, right? And I needed something a lot more intense. And so Richard serves his family unbelievably. Like, that's why I call him St. Richard and Jess. He's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. He's got his own issues. But the thing that he does, super hardcore, and he lives it out, is he calls me to serve my family in ways that make me want to fight people. Like something happened with Tanda and we got in an argument and he goes, he listens a little bit. And I think you should always validate people's suffering. Yeah. People mess this up. Man, that's so hard, brother. And validate it for some time. And then he says, how fast can we get back to 0 on your ledger? After, the negative thoughts in my head come, pass by of all the things I want to say. I'm like, bro, that's a great goal. I'm going to have to get back to you because it's going to be a fight to get there. Yeah. To not stack the negatives, but stack the positives. Stack what the good things are. Notice those things. I told my son, he was having a hard time and he's 17. A lot of kids struggle with things. And I said, you'll find yourself to be way less insecure. When people talk, you look for what's right when they're talking. When you see somebody in the way they dress, when you look at their drip or whatever you want to say that's cool now, what do they have on that you can call out that's cool? What about their hair? What about what they said? What about what they like? Find things that are right in proximity and you'll live a much more right, healthy life. Yeah. But the one thing the warrior and the cowboy don't typically have down well is boundaries. Where do I stop? Where do you start? What's my issues? What am I being triggered in? What is yours? I look back, my very Ephraim Cooksey, I'll tell you, he said something. We were talking. And he said, "Man, you remember when your life group?" I said, "Yeah." And he's like, and I said, "Why'd you guys leave?" He said, "Man, I think it has something to do with. It could be a lot of things. I think it has something to do with this. My wife is talking, and she's really good at communicating. They're not married anymore, but she's really good at communicating. And she was talking, and she interrupted you like, I don't know, 5 or 6 times in a row. And you're like, just let me finish." And I said, "That's a warrior. That's the warrior phase of tactfulness. I would do it very differently today. Yeah. I would not do that. Yeah. If you ever watch this, forgive me for that, because I wouldn't do that today." Yeah. And that's the warrior phase. It's reactionary based upon what I'm experiencing. And you look, a lot of warriors, they'll get into fights that will cost the king and the army and the nation the battle. You see this in all the movies we watch, right? Oh, yeah. The guy runs in because somebody provokes him too much. Troy, he went and fought the guy on the outside of the wall. And they could have shot him and killed him with an arrow, but he fights him one-on-one because something about his pride, something was called out, and his whole city fell because of it. And so I think for the phases, man, especially the cowboy, get to know who you are, have fun, make a lot of mistakes. That's your time to do it. The costs are much lower. Yeah. I mean, everybody can make a bad decision that affects your life in any season. But man, being cold because you didn't take your jacket as a cowboy, going on a trip and bringing a duffel bag and forgetting your toothbrush and a pillow. Your neck's going to be like this, but you're, 18 years old and you can cut yourself and watch yourself bleed because you heal so fast. And you're just in a different phase. You have different energy.
Yeah.
And so, man, make a lot of mistakes trying to do things well. Just don't let them stick.
Do you have a scale of
Where people are at?
No, risk taking? Like, is there a point that you're like, no, that risk isn't worth it?
I think you always do the ROI,
Yeah.
return on your investment. And if the cost is worth I just think in these terms, is the cost worth the investment? Is the cost. So my son, going in the woods right now, I don't think the cost is worth the investment without tick spray. I think it's a bad move. When I was a kid, before they had Lyme disease and it would make you not be able to eat red meat and all the crazy things that are happening. Yeah, go in without. I think you evaluate the cost. Like, I think going up to him doing a skit and looking stupid because that's not his jam. That's a low cost. You're going to get over that. People are going to make fun of you. Have fun. Having sex before marriage. That's a high cost. Talking to a girl that you're super nervous to talk to, man, do it.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah.
But when you talk to the girl, if I were to see a later stage cowboy and an early stage warrior, I'd say, see what you can do to bless her in that conversation. Find things about her that you can call up, not her breasts or her butt or anything like that. But maybe her hair, man, you look great. That's an amazing outfit. Or you speak so well. Like when I talk to you, I feel so comfortable and relaxed. Like I've known you for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to get too much, for these kids to get too good at stuff, but
We'll save that for a dating podcast.
yeah, we'll save that for a dating podcast because there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
But I think you look at the cost it's going to have if it goes south. Like swimming in it, like the things I did as a kid, I didn't know the cost. And so I swam with alligators. It's so dumb. Not like I jumped into one right next to an alligator, but I swam in plenty of places in Florida where alligators were all over the place.
Well, if you swim anywhere
Anywhere in Florida.
Yeah.
We didn't know about all this stuff. There wasn't YouTube people getting eaten. I just, And so I would evaluate the cost, evaluate where you're at. And then here's the other thing. If you are being fathered or if you grab a hold of this and you're in the later cowboy and the warrior phase, realize it is your thing to fight battles and to fail. Like this is your season to do it. If you're in college, take things that are outside your zone that you might like.
Yeah.
Don't take the easiest thing to get to. That's one of the things I regret in my career is I was so poor starting out that I only did the free lunches. I did the stuff that if I speak, then I get a little bit of, I get to get free CEUs. I would totally put stuff on. Like I love Dave Ramsey. We are debt free except for our business building. And so I believe in that. But I also believe in, I would have put on my credit card high level trainings that were crazy. And I would have paid them off over time because that's a wise investment for me. And it would have yielded dividends way earlier.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have had to struggle so much. So I think take risks.
Yeah.
I don't think you should serial date anybody. I think if you date a lot of people, you're practicing divorce. How do I get to know you and break your heart or you break my heart? I think get to know people, learn how to value them, learn how to talk to women, learn how to be a great friend, learn how to get to know and see what they really are saying behind the fine words. Fine. How you doing? Fine. Well, fine is simply feelings in need of expression. That's what I hear.
Yeah.
It's the F word that's supposed to stop you.
Yeah.
It's like a kid saying, how you doing? Fine. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do with that.
Yeah.
So I would say the risk scale is what's the cost going to be if this goes
I like
south?
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good.
And what's my purpose in doing this?
Mhm.
And I think a lot of your purpose is getting to know yourself, having fun, going on adventures, because at my age, you may find yourself like I did this last year in the middle of Disney. My wife gets tired really easy. She fights so hard and she does the best she can, but she's got this Addison's and it makes her tired all the time. And so she's in bed. She's done her best. My son's in Hollywood Studios because he wants to go there and ride these rides and wait 4 hours in line. And it's part of me trusting him because he's earned that trust that we can be at Disney and he can be there. And he's 6'2". And I'm like, dude, I wouldn't want to mess with you. So, and he's a trustworthy guy. So he's there and I've got my daughter and I have this incredibly magical moment, which usually my Disney moments have been hot, frustrated, the line's too long. Why am I not on the beach? I have all these things that I've got to reframe to have a good time, right?
Yeah.
But this was a truly magical moment where I felt divinely connected to God, my daughter, and something awakened inside of me. And, it's been a really hard 4.5 years since my house blew up and all the suffering. And Disney recreate environments for men to hear from God. Disney creates environments for people to think the magic comes from them.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll pay any amount of money to do it. And they're fantastic at it.
Yeah.
And so they got the videos up, they have fireworks, they got the best person singing. And my heart is alive. It really is. My daughter's there and she's, bubbles are going. And I said, this is amazing. God, how do I not have to be at Disney to experience the wonder and magic that I'm feeling right now?
Mm-hmm.
And this is my story. So this is not a template for other people to finish. Okay, I'm just giving a specific story. And he said, again, this is my story. 4.5 years, I've been so into my family. Like so much into my family. So much home, sacrificing to be home, not to do this, because I feel like that's who I needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you need to open that space of wonder and curiosity and adventure again with your friends, which sounds so contrary to most of what I encourage people to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But my story is very different. But he's like, you're not going to get that with your son the same way you're going to get it with a buddy or another buddy that's at a like season. Your son's going to give his best, but he's 17. He's not have the experience to even go where you need to go in your heart, to have those deep, heartfelt conversations and then cry about this. And then 5 minutes later, laugh about this and then talk about faith and talk about your struggle with your marriage and talk about your kids and then talk about faith and business. Like it's not there.
Yeah.
And so I took that moment and I had to be okay with my amazing wife and kids getting upset about some differences. I'm not saying I am okay.
Yeah.
I just had to get to the point where I was willing to still do it and let them choose how they live and pray for them, love them, and let me be faithful to what God's called me to live.
Mm-hmm.
But let not theirs or my guilt or feeling that I need to do this be the thing that imprisons me.
Mm-hmm.
For other guys, it's video games.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that. For me, it was like, I don't want to have my son or my daughter or my wife come back and be like, Sean, why didn't you fill in the blank?
Mm-hmm.
And so in that moment, that was divine. That was me and God in the middle of all these people. He opened something that is so special. And I've had some incredible, I went to the Final Four, never did anything like it. Somebody's like, hey, your team's good. And I hadn't been watching Florida Gators. And he's like, do you know that they're good? And I try to do relationships with people I do business with. So my SEO guy is also one of my good buddies. He lives in Utah. And so a week later, we're at the Final Four in San Antonio. And the only time I ever met him in person is when he came to my daughter's celebration of life when she died and she went to heaven. He just showed up. Never met him. We have a great relationship, Dave Stringham. And we went, had a fabulous time.
Yeah.
And then I went with Richard Milligan on a fishing trip a couple weeks ago. And as weak as I was and as much as it rained and the guide said, I'll never do another trip like this because basically he scared the hell out of me. We got called off the water by the Coast Guard twice. We ended up in this restaurant. It's called Cabbage Key Restaurant. And it's where Jimmy Buffett got stranded because he got stranded on the water and he had to go to this restaurant. And it was called Cheeseburger Paradise. So if I would have been with any other people, it would have been miserable.
Yeah.
But we made such epic memories watching our guide be afraid of the lightning. And I grew up in Florida. I'm like, this is, hey man, what a way to go. Not saying that's should be everybody's jam, but I'm like, man. And we created memories and adventure. But I would say he's also in a king phase. Mm-hmm. And he's also has some really hard things that he's walking through that we can relate on. And he's also the only one. Everybody else, when we were praying, like Tana's pregnant. And the optics of it, you're nuts. Let's be real. Like I'm 52, I'll be 53 this year. And with the health things that we're going through, and you guys know I do a lot for my health.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of my time because I want to be there. But he said, Sean, maybe you need to lay your life down for your wife. Like Christ laid his life down for the church. And I said, I hear you, bro, but I don't think so. But I prayed about it, right? But my point is, he challenges me so high on the Richter scale of how I can so live. And I'm not there, but I'm moving towards it. And we all need people in our life. We need books. I mean, I've only met elders once, but that brother has mentored me, you,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of our friends, so much through the writings
Yeah.
and encouraged. And then we build off of it through our relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think those are the things that you establish, especially in the warrior phase, is all phases, but make sure your people that are walking with you
Yeah.
are right for that season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had some dudes that I'm not walking with now. And I love them. We're just in different seasons.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And if I would still try to hold on to them, I wouldn't get what God has for this season.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say I did not ask to be in the king season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't ask to be in a leadership position. I did not want. And everybody's story is different. I didn't want it,
Yeah.
but it was a need. And I had to do things that I was super not great at for a really, and I still do, at a really long time. Things that would drain the life out of me that were so like brain dead, tired, hard. I worked 70 hours a week for a while because I get up at 4. I get up from 4 till like 7 when my kids got up. And then I'd hang out with them till I went to work. Then I'd put them to bed around 9. And then I worked till maybe midnight.
Mm.
Now, I'm not saying that you can't live that life. You can live it for a season.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of things I had to do and knock out. But I wasn't willing to sacrifice the time with them.
Yeah.
And so in so many seasons of life, we get caught in this. This is so hard, it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I get caught in that a lot. I so want some of the preachers that preach only the gospel that's good and not the suffering part and the discipline part. And I'm choosing to die to self part.
Mm-hmm.
I want this gospel to be good. It's just not true. It's just not the whole Bible.
Yeah.
And it's just not true experientially. That every time you pray and you ask God to heal somebody you love, that's an awesome person. They don't get healed every time. What's up with that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was at this thing this weekend and there's a lot of things said that were good. I talked about covenant relationships, but the thing that stuck out to me more than anything was we all know the story Nehemiah, and he had a posh life, but his people were in bondage.
Mm-hmm.
He took the purpose of God that God put in his heart, and he left the posh. And he wasn't a king, by the way. Let's be clear. He wasn't a king. He had one role. Try not to die because somebody's trying to poison the king. That was his role. To now this dude's running the city. He's on the chopping block, like all these things, and they have to carry a hammer and a sword. I'd say a sword is my right hand, and a hammer all the time. And I would say I was struggling with, and I still do. This doesn't feel like you guys know I go through a lot of stuff, and I fight, and I seek the Lord, and I believe God can change lives if you don't quit through suffering. And it can be rich and it can be gold. And just so everybody knows, I got a beach house and it's nice. And it's going to have a lot of guest rooms. So let me know when we get to heaven if you guys want to roll on by. It's going to be nice.
So, question.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about men that two different sides. One side, men that are in their 50s and 60s that should be in the king phase, but they never appropriately went through the cowboy warrior phase in a actual becoming kind of way. And yes, maybe they have a kingdom in the sense of they have kids and a wife, but outside of that, they're still not kings. They're not ruling and reigning over a domain, right? They're not mature in that way. There's that element. And then there's the element of young men, pastor, people in ministry especially get this, are being handed kingdoms at the age of 24, 25. They haven't been through the cowboy warrior phase yet. And I actually heard Eldridge just spoke on this in the Carrie Newhoff podcast a couple weeks ago that came out. He talked about, man, you're given a kingdom and this king is not equipped to handle it. What's your thoughts on those two different dynamics?
So do you want me to get practical steps or you want me to speak to the issue? I can do both.
Both.
Okay. So one, I would say just because you are given a kingdom doesn't make you a king.
Mm-hmm.
Any more than putting a dog collar on Ryan makes him a dog.
It's a fun visual.
And I think a lot of people, when they get saved and they have a gifting, we as humans want to reward the gifting. If let's say we got the guy couldn't stand in the Denver series Jokic.
Yeah.
Let's say we got him, and his facial expressions just drive me nuts. Dude, if you don't like the game, go play frisbee or something, bro. Have fun. Anyway, that's just my own personal opinion.
Yeah.
But if we got a guy like that, I mean, it would automatically change the landscape of our team, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that they would be ready to handle the level of success. It doesn't mean they'd be ready. Just because you get somebody that talented doesn't mean he should replace XYZ. But he would. There's no doubt he would. We all know he would.
Yeah.
And it would probably throw off the whole flow of our Thunder, chill, having a great time, goofy. It would throw that all off because of how he just shows up, right? He's not a bad guy, probably. I don't know. He likes to play with horses and not do parades about winning. But besides that, he's probably not a bad guy. But it would ruin the whole thing. And I think so many times people evaluate their identity based upon their worldly report card.
Yeah.
And there's so many people in the music industry, when they come from being a talent, they go straight into the church and they're leading people wherever they are.
Yeah.
Because they've got all this mess that they need to heal from. But we want to reward talent. And look, man, there are so many pastors that are so incredibly gifted at teaching, but they have they could not counsel, and the compassion, the lack of empathy, the lack of the ability to shepherd. They don't have it. They're not there. They can't walk with somebody. The unfortunate position I have is I get a lot of the phone calls from church splits, from churches, and I'm super privileged to serve, but I just have a different narrative than a lot of people. That, somebody who I only know that has full integrity that a lot of us know is Craig Rochelle, as far as I know, right? Like, he didn't call me today. I'm not his best friend, but I know him at a level that I respect him in so many ways as a leader and so many things he does, but in no way, shape, or form, other than his physical health, would I want to be Craig Rochelle. Because the amount of pressure, the amount that he has to be on, the amount of people that rely on him to show up in the world, he's just an excellent person in so many areas that he's trying to rule a kingdom that's massive. And I think a lot of people see Craig and they have a very different perspective. They want his body. They want his brain. They want his opportunities. They want his... But man, that brother plays a high price. And I'm using Craig because we're in Oklahoma, and a lot of people will understand this. He pays a high price to show up in the world as a king like he does. I pay a high price. And I paid a high price with the sufferings that I've gone through and endured to limit and to lead the people that I lead in my much smaller but yet highly impactful kingdom. And I think a lot of the people, they're still looking to play video games. How fast can I get my kids to bed to go play video games? I want to be a responder at base camp. I want to be on the front of the stage. I want to, and I will tell you, through being through so much tragedy and trauma, I really only want the mic if you feel like, or I feel like God gives me something that's going to help people out. Like, I would be available for it more, but I'm available for it mostly if I feel like I can share something that or I'm compelled by God, or you guys feel like there's something there to share. That's one of the differences, is a lot of time in your cowboy, your warrior phase, you're going to go from an egocentric position, and you may have a great heart and your purpose may be spot on, but you're still a huge part of the conversation of how it impacts you, how you look, how you feel. And that you'll always have that to some degree. You know what I mean? You don't want to go on a stage with a booger hanging out of your nose, totally disheveled, not shaven in 4 months, no offense. And that would take me 4 years to grow, by the way. If it's even, maybe with some hair growing stuff too. But I think a lot of times people are so passionate to get to the next phase of their 401k, to get to the next scale of it. Like, so many people that come to me for wanting to go to the next phase, I said, let's talk about your cost. You go to that next phase, you're going to get $200,000 more a year. You'll have a way better office. You'll have way better benefits. Tell me about the time that you're going to be gone from your family, because this is a traveling job. Tell me about how much you enjoy coaching your kids' soccer, being there for dinner. And so I think for each of us, are we serving the purposes of God? Or are we serving technology? Are we serving my report card to make a certain amount of money, to keep up with the Joneses? And a lot of that stuff I don't relate to. My son says, you wear expensive clothes that look cheap. Or you try to hide it. And it's not, I just like to wear things that are stretchy and that breathe and are comfortable. That's really simple, right?
Yeah.
And so I have other things. I get jealous of people's body because I've had so many physical injuries. I get jealous that you don't spend 2 hours a day in your body.
Yeah.
And you don't, if most people spent that much time, they would have no body fat and they would be great and they would be an Olympic athlete.
Mhm.
And so we all have our sticks that we get stuck in.
Mhm.
We all have our things, but evaluating, are you being faithful to the purposes of God? And something I really like about the summit that's a unique offering is it helps most guys that don't want to dial back how they got to where they're at. It goes back and it says, let's see if your foundation's Christ of what you've built.
Yeah.
Which is crazy scary.
Yeah.
If you're being honest with yourself. Because maybe in the cowboy fit, maybe you are gifted, maybe you're a talent. And maybe the world has rewarded you with influence and resources and you have a lot of money, you got a great car. But maybe God called you to be a pastor. And most pastors are not making bank. They are barely making it, period. I don't have any desire to be a pastor because it's got to be a calling because of how much they go through. I mean, I'm going to preach to people. I'm going to bring a hard message to people to make them mad. And maybe you will, maybe you won't tire. They'll show up next week. And maybe the youth pastor is going to call your kid out because she's gossiping in a loving way. And maybe you don't care. You're going to quit the church and the church will split. I've seen that happen. Those are real stories.
Yeah.
And so I think, one, you got to know yourself to lead yourself. And you can't properly know yourself without having people around you that love you enough to be honest. And most people, you're going to have to go looking for. This is not, this. It says in the Bible, the Lord gives treasures, but it's for kings to search them out. I think that's in Proverbs. You have to search out the treasures of relationships. They're not going to be given to you easily. Like I've had fantastic relationships. A lot of the guys that walked with me through the season of the trauma, like intensely, the first year, I don't talk to them every week anymore, not even every month. One of them is actually dying right now. And that's crazy because he loves the Lord. And they prayed and his wife and his girls are praying. Mm-hmm. And so you have to always be on a treasure hunt for the guys, right? Not that you replace and you're just anxious all the time. No, but just be available. I have a lot of one-time coffee events. And it's, Lord, is this for me? Is this, okay, it's not my season. Mm-hmm. But it was great to meet you. And now I got a little bit of understanding of who you are. And that was great. And it's a win. But be a sort of there, be in a community. I like groups and in our culture today, people aren't meeting the way they used to in community groups. Mm-hmm. So whatever that looks like for you, you have to have community at some level, whether it's friends, couple groups, things like that, a Bible study. You have your guys and women have the ladies, and then there needs to be a connection point. But I'd say your guys needs to be every week. Hmm. I do it in person most times, but Zoom can work if that's all you got. Read books. This is going to be a lot of your mentoring. John Elder has mentored us. There's a lot of other people. There's a book, Slavery to Sonship by Jack Frost. You want to know where things went wrong? It's a great book. Do not Audible this. I'm an Audible king. Love it. I Audible almost every book I get. Do not Audible this. It's a terrible robot. Maybe somebody out here, maybe Tyler can figure it out and put it on a proper thing. It is so bad. The guy's not alive anymore, but it can set you free, help set you free from an orphan spirit. Mm-hmm. Like you don't belong. And it's, the last thing I'll say with that is it's having a template that's really specific and that you're worth God's son dying for you. Mm-hmm. You are called to fight the good fight. Mm-hmm. The purposes of God are your purposes, and his ways are always going to be higher than your ways. And all the things that you're called into that are general, but specifically what you're supposed to do. For a lot of us, well, I have my passion and my career are aligned. Mm-hmm. But speaking, I mean, they weren't always that way. I did counseling, but it wasn't the kind of counseling that I liked because it was with non-voluntary people, and mostly they just wanted to fight and argue, and us taxpayer paid for it, so they didn't pay a dime. Wasn't super effective, and I had to do things for free that were my passion for a long time until I could do my career as a passion. So those are some things I think in all the phases you need, but especially in identity formation early on when you don't know who you are. Like if you came up to me and you said, at this stage of my life, you said, you don't fight for your family, dude. You You don't ever apologize. You don't get up and spend time with God every day. People in your neighborhood don't know you like firewood. Like, because I do chimney every morning until it gets hot. And all these things, I would think, I was like, yeah, that's zero impact on me.
Yeah.
I think, man, what kind of schizophrenia do you have? Are you on drugs? Are you trying to provoke me? But if you said, man, you get hot sometimes. Sometimes you say things before you think. Sometimes you react out of anger instead of love. Yeah, you're right. Will you forgive me? Because I'm not going to defend something that I'm working on.
Yeah.
I'm just going to ask for your forgiveness and I'm going to move on. Warrior cowboy, we're going to fight. Because I can't be wrong because it subtracts from my identity.
Uh-huh.
Whereas this doesn't subtract from that part of my identity.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can apologize and I can be strong enough to stand in that space. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's really good. It's really good.
Because so much of the early phases is discovering who you are. The devil's trying. So when we're born, right, we're given names. Our parents give us a name. God wires an identity as a name. We don't have to figure out our parents' name. We're told.
Mm-hmm.
God gives us an identity which we figure out if we accept the call. The devil gives us a name, and the world will give you a name.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of names.
Mm-hmm.
I said earlier mine was bastard. Because I never felt like I fit in. I always felt like I had to measure up. Never quite felt good enough. Was alone. Felt so pervasively alone. Like when I played sports, I did not play to win. I played to become somebody worthwhile. That was worth somebody caring about, loving, valuing. Now looking back with my adult mind and where I'm at, that doesn't make, okay, I get it. I'm not there. But I promise you, I would rather be punched in the face than lose because it was so wired into my identity. Now you could take that, put that to your job, put that to grades, put that to a relationship that maybe you shouldn't be in, but you've elevated to this godlike status. Put that to be in something in a video game. It can put that to being a pastor at church. Mm-hmm. Anything can elevate. Anything that becomes an idol that you takes the place of God and it's out of its place, you're serving it and worshiping it instead of it serving you and the purposes of God in your life. It's worth being curious and jumping into and seeing where that's at.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
You have a question?
No, I think that's.
I have a lot more. I can go on if you want.
No, I think that this is a good spot to end. We've been right at about an hour and a half, or maybe not an hour and a half.
It was like about 25 minutes.
I had a question that came up,
okay.
but and we may need to cut it out. But so whenever you asked about the risk or whatever, a guy's given a kingdom, right? But they haven't gone through the warrior phase. Do you feel like maybe your kind of new call that you got at Disney World was to step back into adventure? Was that because maybe you missed something there?
So I think life is really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think really bad, horrible things happen to amazing people and good people. Yeah. And I think you can be in a king phase, but be taken back because something happened and it created something that wasn't there, that you had a trauma or an issue. Just like if you tore your ACL, you would get in, your ACL is fine today and we can go play sports and have fun. But if you tore it, you'd have to go to remedial physical therapy.
Yeah.
And I think there's that happens, that something happens and you go back and you heal something. But then what you're bringing up, and I see this a lot, God loves us way too much to leave anything in us that's not of him.
Yeah.
And so you absolutely are going to be in a king phase. And there should be times where you're brought back to a cowboy phase, which is what I was brought back to of Sean. You've been so dedicated to your family, so not wanting to fail them, that you missed and you stepped away from and Tana will say this, the fun and the wonder of who God created you to be. Because I joke around, right? Like I love to laugh and cry, like all the emotions the human experience. I want to dial in. And so I think both can be true. Something can happen, you need to go back because of it. Or God wants to bring you closer to something that is even with your king phase. Can you imagine a king that's playful? Let's just call him Jesus for argument's sake.
For argument's
Holy
sake.
Spirit, right? Yeah.
And him playing and having fun and wondering and doing things. And I mean, just look at this. Go to the zoo and see all just the wonderful animals and just the creation, the magnificence of what God did for us to experience his beauty and wonder. Like, I feel like that is part of the childlike faith. We talk about faith and believe and trust without. I also think it's the wonder. And then here's something really interesting. If you're living with wonder, and not the wonder of like, I wonder if I'm a girl, I wonder if I'm a boy. I don't mean that. I mean the wonder of, man, I wonder what my kids are going to be up to today. I wonder what my wife's reading. I wonder what she's thinking about. I'm curious. What if I wrote her a note like I did when we first, what if I walked up and I did something like we first did? Like, what does that do? Listen, wonder, curiosity, true wonder and curiosity, and imagination, which wires in your imagination, which wires in emotional content, which wires in hope for a future, right? Like, this is what we're talking about. Anxiety and depression don't do well operating in the same space of wonder, curiosity, imagination, and walking towards purpose. If those elements are in there together in the way that we're discussing them. And here's the thing, I'll use the word fight a lot because I think our society's been duped that things should be easy. And so, like I said, with the Nehemiah, he had the sword and the hammer, and I was struggling. I was like, God, this is so hard. You've given me things to build. You give me people to carry in my heart that I'm leading that are really going through crazy stuff. And then you have all the things with work, marketing, people that I'm a therapist. I have a caseload of people that I'm serving that are going through crazy stuff and are trying to get in. And then I have a faith. And you thought, it's not bad. It's not wrong. Like, be faithful where you're at. Trust me for the long play of what this means. Like, just be faithful where you're at. So I was in such a health crisis recently. I feel like I'm making marginal improvements, and I feel like I've got a plan that should work. But my son asked my wife, hey, Dad, I was out of town. Hey, Mom, is Dad dying? Because I'm giving myself injections of things that are natural and healthy, and they're making a difference. And I'm going to functional medicine doctors, and I'm doing blood work, and but that's heavy. And I literally am doing what I know to do. But I'm also building. I'm also seeing people impacted while I'm walking through my incredibly hard journey, while I'm releasing fear so many times a day that I'm having a baby at 52, and my daughter, Everly Joy, is the go. What do you mean go? I mean, she wakes up and she is gone, running, yelling, screaming, hooting, hollering, saying hi to everybody she can imagine, climbing up. And
I wonder where she gets that from.
Yeah, I have no idea. Her mom, super introverted mom. But I think that's a great question, because so many times we're in the middle and the devil's like, if you would have this, that's one of the ways he gets me. I just have to do more. If you would have this, if you would have been as gentle as Jesus with Hayden or with Tanda, or if you would have laid your life down more, or fill in the blank. There's never an end how we can do life better. The trick is to not do condemnation or shame, to do conviction, repentance, move into the future, forgetting what is behind, looking toward what not. But you have to choose to forget it. And it's an active process. Just like you choose to pursue relationships. That's an active process. These stages, just because you're chronologically there, doesn't mean you're there. I had a guy come in, and he was married. He said a lot of things that were crazy to me. He said, turns out they just got married. I saw him like a month after they got married. They're both in their 60s. She was 65. He was 65, 67. She was about 60, 62, much younger. She was healthier. She's like, why didn't you tell me you're an alcoholic? He's like, I'm not. He's like, you got pulled over one time in a year, 3 times for drinking and driving. He's like, I was just unlucky. And this guy is 65 years. And then all these other things come out about who he is. And these people are in the phase that he should be moving into a sage phase. But he's back here in the cowboy-ish warrior phase, still playing games, still doing these things, and he's hurting people's lives, including his own. And so I would say, if a warrior is not trained, they'll burn down the village. My son is incredibly strong, and that's, God gave us my warrior for God. We prayed about identity and what his name means, which I think would be great for everybody to do, because that's specific to your son, you and God or your family. He's strong. And so when I get really frustrated, I'm like, warriors are not easy. Like, you think a warrior that can fight like some of these guys fight, you think that's easy to train to be a Navy SEAL or to get in the octagon? And a lot of those guys are warriors with the physicality, but they're wimps when it comes to emotional and allowing themselves to process, to work through, and to choose the fight that they've ran from, that they took to the arena. And so we're made to be complete people. Some people are great at the fight in the arena. Others are great in the fight in emotion. And I think God calls us to do our best with where we're at. So if I were to sum it up, your journey is your journey. You are incomparable to anybody except for the next version of who God made you to be. Not the 10-year version, but the next version. That's your goal. Not the 10-year, if one more of our friends go to Greece, I don't know what I'm going to do. My wife's like, well, the January's in Greece, so-and-so's in Greece, so did you know your other friend? I'm like, man, I hope they like Greek food. More power to them. Our story's right here, babe.
Yeah.
And if you get caught up in the comparison, then you'll do things you shouldn't do and have experiences God's not calling you to be in. But if you live with purpose and you realize there are stages, and if your humility stays in check with your stage, then you're going to have to do a lot more right things. If you let your giftings create pride, then you're going to think you're a king when you're probably not even a warrior yet.
Yeah.
And you're for sure not a lover. Because tell me the joke about PKs, about how naughty and how PKs run away. PKs get, preachers' kids. It's because things are out of balance.
Yeah.
God doesn't call you to unnecessarily sacrifice your family on the altar of your pride, of your doing so much for him. He will call you to sacrifice. There is absolutely no doubt. But his blessing is going to follow the sacrifices he calls you to. And blessings don't mean money necessarily. They don't mean you're going to be the best looking person, most profitable, most successful.
It doesn't mean health.
It doesn't mean health. It means fidelity and faithfulness. Because you can be assured of this, and I live and I stake my life on this. He will make all things new.
Yeah.
If not in this world, in the next.
Yeah.
Amen.
That is his promise.
Yeah.
I lost my daughter. I lost my aunt. Like the last person in my family that I was close to outside of my mom. I have my mom left. I have family that I talk to once a year. But that's it. That's my last ride or die from growing up.
Yeah.
When she goes, I pray that the Lord comes back. But if she goes before me, then my history goes. That's all my history.
Yeah.
And so without eternity looking forward into that and the hope that we have, we are to be pitied more than most people because of how we choose to live. But because it's true, then when death and these scary things happen physically, I can close my eyes and I can see the people I love while grieving the people I might leave.
Yeah.
And both can be true simultaneously.
Yeah.
Because the people that are the best aren't the people that have the charmed life. We'll call those trust fund babies. Those are typically the worst people to be around. Not always, but mostly. When you spoil something, it's going to be rotten. The best people are those that learn how to handle and hold adversity and sadness and trials, and yet allow the joy of the Lord and the purpose to still reign while they're suffering authentically. Those people are the richest people that we can find and have the best lives.
That's really good.
Would you end us with a prayer for the men that are in these seasons of suffering, confusion? Maybe they're hearing something today that is calling them into more adventure, more risk, or into owning their kingdom better. Could you pray for
I would
those
love
men?
to. And one more thing before I pray. Just want to speak to the person out there that has a king role, but you know you're not, or you suspect you're not in a king. It doesn't always mean you got to abdicate your role. It can mean that you get people around you that are wise, and you don't act like you're the king.
Yeah.
Your role may require you to do certain functions, but you support and you buttress your life up with people that are kings and wise. Because somebody could be a king, but in your job, they can be a king, but in your job, they're not.
Yeah.
They're in a warrior spot, and you can put them in your counsel.
Yeah.
And so just be aware, and there is only God's peace for your fidelity and for your faithfulness to what he's called you to.
Yeah.
There's not peace for opposing, because God's where you're really at, not where you pretend to be.
Mm.
And so you may be wondering what's going on. There's a guy I talked to, amazing guy. He was one of the Dave Ramsey personalities, hired on, multi-million-dollar deal. And he's really talented. Like, I met him at a speaking event. Like, he's really talented and nice, not 40 yet, almost 40, but not 40 yet. And he was miserable, had his dream job, however many book deals. Dave Ramsey does it right. And he said, class act, integrity, best organization I've ever interacted with. They said they only did amazing things. They were the best. But he walked away from millions, and now he's struggling. Mm. Walked away from millions and millions of people to be impacted, to follow God. And he doesn't know where that's at, but he's like, I knew that I couldn't stay because I was getting so incredibly depressed, and it made no sense at all. Who knows what he's got a lot of things going, but he's fighting to pay the bills. Mm. And he's in a unique season. So but the thing is God's growing him so much. And he went to a base camp, but it wasn't ours. So I'm trying to get him to go to ours. I'm trying to get him to go to the summit, to go backwards. Because sometimes you can only go forward and go up when you deal with your foundation that keeps it breaking and destroying. And when you go back and you address those wounds. And look, God totally fathered me through the cowboy, through the warrior, and now in the king phase. Mm-hmm. Totally refathered thousands now, but 20 legitimately through a guy that I met in my mom's church. So I was there like a month and a half, or not even. Like I fished with him 4 times, but he was part of my story in that season. Just a good Christian dude that loved fishing. Yeah. Another guy, one of the, Jim Ambrose, took my son and I hunting, and was just the nicest guy. Told my son, hey, we only got one rule. Have fun. That's his rule. Have fun. And I was like, no, buddy, we're not going to eat all this trash food and get sick. But how great and beautiful is that? Yeah. So I just wanted to give a space for you, no matter where you're at, that if you're in a phase above or 2 above, God can still bring you back and walk you through. Yeah. He did with so many of us. And I believe he'll do it for you as well. Amen.
That's so good.
Father, I thank you that you are a gracious God. I thank you that you want to rewire every man and woman listening to this. I know that's for men, but your heart is for both. And so I pray, Lord, that you would right now speak to the men listening and help them identify where they live most of their time at. By the way they react, by how selfish they are. Selfish is going to be more the cowboy and the warrior. How giving they are. How much they think about others and the impact versus themselves. Mm. And Lord, I pray that you would give them the strength to not just live in shame or guilt or say this is stupid and move on, but to, before they're done writing notes on this podcast and put their phone up, that they'd reach out to one person for accountability or make a plan to do one thing to start this process, to get to know themselves and their phase in order to bring the resources and the people, the prayer time, and to lead themselves in a community of believers of men. And Lord, I pray that you would magnify this message that people need to hear, that you would make it rich in their souls and their spirits, and it would yield a harvest of loving fathers, sacrificial dads and husbands, and men that lead with biblical principles in the workplace. So even if they're not able to directly share Christ, your fragrant aroma is evident to everybody around by the way they live their life. Pray a blessing over True North, that every man should know and every man should go. The life-changing impact these base camps, summit, and ascent can have. I pray it spreads like wildfire, that you give them resources, that you'd empower the team that leads them to make decisions, not just for today, but for the future, to bring in men to transform their lives. In Jesus' name we praise. Amen.
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 Thank you so much, Sean.